Welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. My name's Nick. Hope your summer's going great. Thanks for making us a part of your summer by bringing us along each and every Friday when we bring you a celebrity guest every single week. You can follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at Fancounters Live and our big Facebook group. Just search Fancounters on Facebook. If you want to go to the smaller, more intimate group, that's Sharpie Nation. Ask to join. We'll let you in. If you have any comments or suggestions for us, give us an email. I almost said give us a call. Give us an email at hello@fancounters.com. Now, the best part of Fancounters is we're able to go behind the scenes to find out how our favorite movies and television shows are brought to life. Today is no exception. My guest today is Bill Foster. He's known for his role on Fear of the Walking Dead, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and he also worked with Pierce Brosnan in The Sun. Bill is an expert at bringing westerns to television and the big screen, and today we're going to hear how it's done. Looking forward to a great interview with Bill Foster coming your way right now.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters with Nick and Elizabeth on the Podfix Network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours.
If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom.
Can I take a picture? Oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
Bill Foster, welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You've been on several episodes of Fear of the Walking Dead, and you've been made up to look like a zombie. So I'm very curious. I've watched The Walking Dead. I never really got into Fear of Walking Dead. But anyway, tell me about the experience of that process and what kind of direction they gave you. What was the experience like?
It was really neat. I was originally cast as one of the vultures, which was going to overthrow the main crew, and so that's never a good thing for the actors when you know that you're going to try to overthrow the main actors, and so the end result was you couldn't figure it out. But they wanted us looking homeless and kind of gypsy-like and nomadic, and they actually told the makeup and hair people to do anything you want with these folks.
Nice.
And so they told me not to shave my beard, don't trim my beard, the hair, let it get as long as possible. And the ladies, they just had so much fun putting things in my beard, hanging feathers from my hair, all kinds of things. And in fact, one day, I actually cracked up the main cast. I know, as a featured extra, you really don't want to talk to them while they're working. And they were over there working on the script, and one of them looked over there, and the feathers in my hair, they're blowing around. They kind of chuckled. I said, yeah, but I get really good radio reception. They just busted them all out. But, it's a lot of hours, and, cold. Majority of the time on the season 4, it was cold. We shot it in the wintertime, and a lot of night shoots. And so it was really neat, though, just to be able to figure out what they were going to do every time you go into makeup and hair, because they could change it each time because we were, travelers and nomadic type people. And so there was that episode. Then after they killed me, they brought me back as a walker, and I was a mask walker. And so you'd have this latex mask. Of course, they darken your eyes and your mouth and nose, so anything you see through the mask, you won't be able to see it on camera. And then they paint your hands and arms, so that way that you look like the zombie. And so those masks are just super, super hot because you have just a little bitty pinhole to breathe through, and you're breathing into that mask and sweating. But they do take you inside and teach you how to walk like a zombie. And there's actually 3 to 4 levels of zombies, walkers, and a lot of people don't know that. You start out with what they call hero walkers, which have all the makeup and the stuff that's glued to their face and the contacts in their eyes, and they're going to be the super close-ups. The next level is the mask walkers, which I was. Then you have the mids, which has some makeup, some cheaper mask on, and then you have the deeps, which mainly just have costumes on.
Okay.
And these can be fuzzy. The further back you get on camera, the less you can tell about them. And so, there's those levels, and they teach you how to walk. And if you can't figure out how to walk like a zombie, they kind of shuffle you to the back.
You got to be good to be in the front.
Yeah, learn how to walk like a drunk and drag a leg or something, you know.
How?
They actually call it the Simians Zombie School, or Walker School. And so you go and they teach you how to walk. And if you don't do it right, they keep working with you. And then they put you where they want you. And I've always luckily been at the very front. So, and they like me because I'm 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in that range, pretty thin. And so I can reach a lot. And so they use me a lot for reaching in cars, reaching over people, trying to get through doors. Lou Diamond Phillips actually directed one segment of season 4, one episode, and I was a walker at that time. And they used us as they knocked the wall down and the zombies come marching in, we had to hold everybody back and let the stunt people do their thing. And so they went through there picking out all the biggest walkers and said, okay, your job is to hold everybody back until point A is done. And so we got trained in that. And so we were trying to act and hold people back at the same time. Or hold the other walkers back because everybody wants to charge through and go do what they want to do. It's all timing. And
right.
As you direct, you realize too, it's all set on timing. And if you get the timing off, you need to reshoot it. And that was a one-shot deal because they only pulled the wall down one time.
Now, a lot of people are not informed as far as how much time it takes to film an episode. And even as an actor, you're on set much longer than you're actually filming. So talk to me about the length of time when you got to set and when you left and how long you were actually doing something rather than just sitting around. Because there's a lot of sitting around when you're an actor.
Oh, yeah, there is. They were always there 12 hours. You can figure there's very seldom you have a day shooting in 12 hours as an actor. Sometimes we've been on set on Fear. One time we were on set, we got there at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they released us at 5 the next morning. So, it was like 17, 18 hours. A lot of sitting, actually out of a 12-hour period, you're probably working, depends on the shot, a couple of hours out of that 12. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. It just depends on what they're doing. Hopefully it's scattered out throughout the day. And then when it comes out, you're like, I was on the cutting room floor all that whole day. On the Sun, we filmed one time 8 hours one day on a graveyard scene for like 3 minutes that made the show. So, and it varies like that, but to get a really good scene, it's going to take 6 or 8 hours sometimes to get all the different angles and all that kind of stuff. So, there's lots of sitting around when you got change lens, and so everybody shuts down. When you get changes of lens on the camera, changes the angles of the camera, and then you reblock it. And so, as an extra, you have to be really adaptable fast because things change so fast on you. As the principal actor, they've got somebody right there with them showing them exactly what they want. Then they try to turn you out and say, okay, this is what we want to do. Y'all do it.
Yeah.
That's why they like experienced extras, so they you kind of know what to do real quick.
Now, you mentioned sometimes you're on set for 17 hours. And you don't have to tell us anything more than this. I'm just wondering, do they offer you an hourly stipend, or are you like per day project type stipend? So you could either work 5 hours or 17 hours for the same amount.
It's hourly, and you're guaranteed a certain amount. It's usually guaranteed an 8-hour stipend, and it's by the hour, but they guarantee you 8 hours of that pay. And then when you go over, you like to go over because that's time and a half, and you're paid on overtime per day. And so that was a nice little check there at 17 hours. And the hard part is 3 in the morning when you're trying to stay awake and then working. And you're just like, because I couldn't go. I could have very easily fell asleep, but then you got to jump up and start acting. It's like, I'm not going to sleep.
Right.
So you start pacing and walking and drinking coffee, and sit down and get up, and talk about everything in the world with your counterpart. Just trying to pass the time sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's all good. You realize, especially when you get on the other side of the camera, how much work it takes to set up that scene. And I've been on some independents that were not that organized, and that's kind of what led me to be a director. Is if I ever do this, it's going to be a lot more organized. I'm in meetings today with my assistant director, and my wife is a second AD, and so we're trying to plan out next in July shots, and getting call sheets ready, and trying to get lists of things that we need to pick up, and things we got to do right now. So it takes a lot of planning.
You're busy. So I know season 4 in Texas, that show, Fear of the Walking Dead, filmed at motels, a baseball stadium, even a water park. Were you at any of those locations that they really had to do a lot of set dressing to turn it into a zombie paradise?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the scene where the airplane took out the zombies, if you remember that one. They had this airplane on a big flatbed trailer that had propellers going, and we walked into the propeller, and the zombies started flying everywhere.
Okay.
I was in that one. I did miss the water scenes. I was in those water scenes. I was a vulture during that time. One night when I was a vulture, they took grease or oil and soaked down all the zombies, and you just, oh my gosh, they had to be miserable, because they're walking around the costumes with this oil all over them, and they were just talking about nasty. And then one time somebody came up to me and they knew me, but I couldn't tell them because they had a mask. And they jumped up and started hugging my neck. So I finally figured out who they were. Somebody had worked with a long time, it was a lady, and I was like, oh, I couldn't tell through the mask who you were.
Now, Fear of the Walking Dead didn't really do well with the critics. In fact, it's getting hated on more and more for them trying to milk the series for all it's worth. And I have to admit, I never really got into the series because I was a Walking Dead fan. But by episode 3, I was just done with that show. Did you get into it? And if you did not, why do you think, you're probably thinking alike with the critics, why do you think it's getting so much hate from everybody?
The only thing I could criticize about that there's too much dialogue as far, I was not a big fan of either one until I got on the show. My wife was. She was watching all of them, and she was like, oh, when I told her what it was, and she was like, man, you guys need days you can't, But I think the audience wants fast-moving action, and Fear really slowed it down, because it's got the one that's videoing, and they talk a lot, and I think that's what the audience is looking for, more of the zombie attacks and things of that nature, and less drama as far as the main characters. And that's what I would say, that people would like the more action-packed part of running from the zombies, getting trapped in rooms by zombies, trying to escape, get out of there how we can, and things like that, and fighting along the way, versus all the flashbacks and thinking and talking and all that kind of good stuff.
I do agree. One show that I did enjoy was the short stories on Netflix's hit called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Now, This is Western is another show with extensive sets from a bygone era. Tell us about some of your most memorable experiences walking on that set and acting in that Western.
Oh, man. When I applied for that, I had no idea it was Coen Brothers. And then the one side note is the Coen Brothers actually picked everybody, they handpicked, not their cast and crew, the brothers themselves handpicked everybody that's on set.
Wow.
And so you go through a very extensive, of course, when I say that, they're looking at pictures and resumes. And so my picture had to go through 3 rounds of selection before it actually got picked as a background person. And just watching them work. But my favorite thing of the whole day, if you've ever seen Wide Up with Kevin Costner in it, his saloon in that movie was our holding room. It was on the same old West town, but his saloon was our holding room. So we sat there one morning, and I looked out the swinging doors of the saloon, and there in the middle of the old West dusty streets were the 2 Coen brothers looking at the scripts, discussing it, and it was perfectly framed by this saloon door. And of course, they don't allow cameras on set, so I would have died to have that picture. And I told the guy next to me, where else in America that a couple of common guys like me and you can be here and work for 2 guys, 2 Emmy Award-winning directors, and just looked at that. I said, you cannot replace that view right there. And, I had a brother, and if we had been doing that, we'd have 3 fist fights in one day. Those 2 brothers worked great together, and I tried to learn as much as I could from them because, being able to work for somebody like that is a lifetime experience. If you get once, it's just amazing. So, and then when it was originally set for a 6-hour series, But when I heard it got cut down to 2 hours, I thought, okay, we got cut completely out. But they really didn't. But everything that we filmed in that saloon, it took 4 days to film all that.
Wow.
And it pretty well all made it.
It's amazingly done, highly entertaining, a little gory, but that's okay. I'm into that kind of stuff, so it was a great show to watch.
And I made my dancing debut in that show, too. It's when the man's laying on the floor and the brother's crying over him, and everybody, and there's people dancing, and you see somebody from the waist down dancing right there beside his head. That's me.
Nice.
So I tell him I made my dancing debut.
You'll have many more debuts just like that coming up as you get to do more projects and expand, the types of films you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, your story of how you started getting into acting is very impressive because it happened when you retired from a job as a school district superintendent. So did you always kind of have a thought that you might go into acting and performing, or what brought you to that level?
Well, I always loved it. I never had acted, but I always just loved watching the DVD on how movies were made. And I loved the sets and everything that went into the behind the scenes. My mom said that's the most boring part of the DVD or VHS. In the old days, I said, no, that's the best part. And so, I would watch those over and over and over and just infatuated with them. And I really never thought I was going to do it for sure on this scale. But after I retired, I saw an open casting call for the Sun. And went and stood in line with 1,500 other people. And I kept thinking, if I get selected just to walk down the street, I'll be happy. And I was selected as a featured extra recurring character. And from then on, pretty much 90% of everything I got picked for was for a featured extra. And so just feel lucky to be able to do that. And then, you learn. Some people, that's all they want to do is be extra. But some are trying to elevate themselves to the next step, get lines. And some, I moved over into the directing side. I love acting, but I love directing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So, was able to go up. But, I tried to learn every time I go on a set, do this or don't do that. I was able to work with Robert Rodriguez on 2 of his movies and learn something from him. And every one of them's different. Every set's different, every director's different. So you have to be real adaptable to that. Don't wear your feelings on your sleeves.
You mentioned The Sun. That starred Pierce Brosnan. Did you have any interactions with him on set, off camera?
Yes, sir. He's a super friendly guy. He would come over and start talking to us. We were some of the main bad guys that would be there when nobody else were, the extras. And he would come over and talk to us. And one time, me and Netta Cowboy, we leaned up against a horse hitching post, waiting on these things to start. And he comes in, and of course he's there. He's not in costume or anything. He just comes over and leans against the post with us. We carry on the conversation like he's next door neighbor. And my favorite scene with him is the fight scene in the house. And after that, he shook my hand and said, "Good job, Chuck." And I was like, "Oh man, somebody got a picture of that."
Yeah, really.
He's really neat to work around.
So he's a good guy off camera, personable, not, one of those guys who just runs back to his trailer. He's willing to talk to you.
Yeah. And then one of the sons that play his son, he and I got to be really good friends on set just by pure accident. But, we'd always talk and when they have lunch, most of the stars, they don't eat in there in the tent with everybody else, but he would come over there and get a meal, and we always stand there and talk just a little bit. He's a super nice guy, and we just happened to hit it off. And in that same scene in the fight, he's right there beside me. So we were able to work together, and just a super nice guy. So, different actors in different ways. Some of them, like James Parks, he's real serious. Mm-hmm. And when he gets through with the scene, he'll walk over to the corner, and you see him working on his lines. Others, they're there and they converse in between and just jump right back into the scene. So you have all the degrees of the most friendly to the very serious.
Now, performing arts wasn't completely foreign to you, Bill, because your son does hair and makeup on Broadway shows. Can you tell us a little bit about his career and what shows he might have worked on?
Yeah, let's see, what show did he, I can't remember the name of the show, but he was putting a prosthetic nose on, her name just left me. She was redheaded, And so he got to do that. And the problem is with he was a theater major, and so he went to New York to be on stage, and he quickly realized he couldn't do that because of competition, and he had to work for a living and all that.
Yeah.
He had to pay rent. So he got his degree in cosmetology so he could work on the backside.
Okay.
And so he was doing that. But the problem with this business is as soon as you're done, you're unemployed. And, so he ended up taking the skills he learned there and working at a salon. And now he's managing a salon in Denver. So, it really spun off of him to do that. And he has all of his great marketing ideas because he's really developed that. So he's helping us, market the movie. He's helping us market our vineyard. And so, he's very creative. So we call him, when we get stumped, hey, Trey, help us out.
That's cool. That's cool. Bill, you're an avid writer of novels, stage, and screenplays. In fact, your books, Showdown on the Guadalupe and I Heard the Quail Whistle, are both about different time periods. Do you have to spend more time researching the eras than actually writing the books?
It's probably just about equal time.
Okay.
You do a lot of research to make sure that everything's historically correct. And the Showdown on the Guadalupe, I made sure it was, and nearly all the books are, but I really made sure that was geographically correct. And it's written about Texas and where I'm from, but I wanted people to be able to read that book, and if they know Texas, they can go find a spot and say, I think he was talking about this point right here. And so it kind of gives them also not only a chance to read the book, but almost like a scavenger hunt, see if they can find where I was talking about in the book. And so that, and so I've had people do that. They go try to find the places that I wrote about. And then I heard the quail whistle. That's based in Nebraska. And so, you have to research all the area up there, time periods, things like that. And I've got another really long novel that I haven't got out yet. It's like 300-something pages. And it's about a cattle drive from Amarillo to Colorado. So we actually drove it in a car to make sure logistically it would work, the idea. And so, you do that research. And my play that I wrote, When This Home, about Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And so I did a lot of research on Vietnam because I want to make sure it was right, POWs and things like that. So, you do a lot of research to make sure your facts are correct. I hope people do, but that's the way I do it.
Well, you can use Google Maps real easily. If people are reading the book and trying to historically find these spots, that's a pretty cool tool to try and track down what you're talking about as well. And you can do that from anywhere. So lovely part about technology. Now, you've turned some of these books that you wrote into screenplays, right? You're working on a film based on a book you wrote.
Yes, Showdown on the Brazos. Well, right now it's just a screenplay, but I will turn it into a book. And so that's the only one I've done backwards compared to the others. The rest of them are novels first, then work on a screenplay. This one started out as a screenplay, 50 pages long, and now it's 140-something pages. And so I think the book will sell real well, of course, as soon as the movie comes out. But I wrote the screenplay to the movie, and I'm also directing and producing the movie and starring in it because started out just I was going to make a trailer. 4 or 5 actors, and I was going to shoot it on my iPhone just to prove that you could do it on an iPhone. And quickly I realized this is too big so I ended up with a whole camera crew. And now we're up to over 250 actors that has been appeared in the movie so far. And so it ballooned in the good way. I feel very fortunate that it's turning out as good as, because I don't want to turn out junk. I tell my lawyers when they prove these things, I tell anybody else that I've used to do a private screen. If it looks like junk, tell me, be honest. Because once you put it out there, you can't pull it back.
Right. Right.
Once you put it out there for people to view, and if it stinks, they're not going to want to watch your next movie. And so in today's time, you got that one shot, and we got to make sure that one shot's right. And that's why the Brazos movie is on the second round of editing. I had one person edit it, and then now we took that and send it on to the next round to somebody that edits a lot too, and so they're putting their spin on it. Once he gets to it all, and we get these new scenes in there, then he and I will sit down there and watch it, and I'll stop it right there. We need to move this up, re-edit that little spot with the scenes we've got. and that's a good thing. I can't imagine the old days where they had the reels, the movie reels, and cutting and splicing. Oh my goodness, I just can't imagine how long that took.
Yeah, I can't imagine that either. Being a filmmaker as well, digitally doing everything is just so much easier, and you can rewatch it tons of times really quickly. And with rewinding projectors and all of that, that's we've come a long way. We've really come a long way.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned is now we take. I've got this lightweight TV, a flat screen. I carry with me. That's my monitor, and that helps me so much. At first, I was trying to just look through the camera and see what the camera saw, and then we rented a little monitor, like a 6x10 inch monitor, and finally I said, "Can we hook my TV up to it?" "Yeah, we can do that." I said, "That's what we got to do." So that's what I do now, and so I can watch what I see on this. The camera shows me what I can see on TV, and so I can tell them, move it, reshoot it, and it just gives me so much more information and clarity of what the people will be watching when they see the movie. And so, that helps out immensely. That's one of the things just learn along the way.
Now, tell me a little bit about, because this is a Western, right? Showdown on the Brazos. Tell me about the secrets of creating a Western with modern times. How do you recreate that?
Yeah, you have to find the sets, and you got to be careful to make sure there's nothing in the background like power lines, air conditioners, things of that nature. And then you got to watch out for chemtrails in the sky. So you got to edit those out, and that's just the set part, and they're hard to find. I mean, they're out there, but they're hard to find. Mm-hmm. And then you start getting into the costumes, and you got to research and make sure that they had this costume in your time period. Then you get into the weaponry, making sure that those weapons were around, because the last thing you want to do is set 1887 but have a 1900 pistol or rifle. Right. So that you don't want to mess up like that. So you make sure all that, we have people checking all that as we film, and making sure that things like that don't get put in the movie by accident. And so it takes a lot of research and a lot of time and costuming, and everybody I talk to talks about how period pieces are so tough, and that's why, because you've got to set the stage and the characters in the right time period.
Well, and definitely more expensive as well, because you have the added expense of the costumes and of all these period pieces that you need to complete the vision. So did you guys, obviously you were successful finding some funding. Did you have one investor? Did you find a lot, did you use one of those Kickstarter services that a lot of people use?
No, did not use any Kickstarter, public funding, or anything like that. I did have a couple of people come forward and help us out a little bit, but it's been mainly in me and the bank and then there's a couple small investors, and we just try to make a dollar go as far as we can. We tapped into some reenactors that do gunfights and things for tourists in different towns, and we've got them on board, and so that furnished a lot of our town and outlaws. Also, you got to not buy costumes, but you tell people if you're going to be in a movie, you have to furnish your own costume, and that's not unusual, because sometimes on major movies, I've been on. I was on 911 Lone Star, and they make you furnish your own. Of course, it's modern day. They give you an idea of bring suits, bring 3 suits that fit your favorite suits, and in these color patterns. And so then you bring your own clothes, and so that's not unheard of. From the independents all the way up to the big budget. And so, right now there's a lot of people that are wanting in these last scenes that's not been in them before. I said, okay, but you got to have your own wardrobe, because we are out. Like the principal actor that doesn't have anything, we'll buy a few things, making sure they make it. But for crowd scenes and people, just townies or outlaws that want to put them in the background, they've got to furnish their own, or they can't be in it, because there's no way on our budget that we could, have 250 costumes for everybody. So, but our wardrobe, our garage is pretty full of wardrobe and props, and and fake guns, and I just ordered 200 blanks the other day for this next shoot, so that way, I won't run out of blanks, but most people buy their own because they love to shoot.
Yeah.
So they just can't wait to shoot blanks off. So that is a lot of fun. Loud, but it's fun.
So when people are furnishing their own costumes, does that take away your opportunity to be picky or to say, nope, that's not going to work? Do you just roll with what they have? How do you deal with that?
No, I don't roll with what they have. I look at them, and if I don't like it, we change it. I have, let's say, the scars that the Cowboys would wear. I've got several of those myself. But if they've got one I don't like, then I'll have a wardrobe change it to maybe one we have, or ask if they've got another one. Because, like one scene, it's on a balcony, and I looked up there, and everybody's wearing about the same color. I was like, okay, we got, had some of them take off the duster coats. Those are the long coats that go down to the knees or ankles, and move people around, because just looking up there, you don't want 3 khakis and 2 black outfits in a row. You got to mix them up. And so, some people show up in modern day cowboy hat, and you're like, okay, that's not going to work. Or if that's the only thing they've got, and we don't have anything to replace it, we put them way in the back. So that way you don't see the modern Western hat or whatever. The boots, we really don't focus on the boots, unless you main character, and we'll see, like I've got the big tall cavalry boots. You do see those, and that's part of my persona, as far as a costume. I wear a duster majority of the time, and so that's kind of my character. But sometimes you just have to play devil's advocate sometime on their costumes. Like, no, that's not going to work. Let's change it. Let's put on a positive note,
Okay.
And then, of course, you start taking dust, the theater dust, and getting them all dirty.
Yeah. Now, we're talking a lot about the behind the scenes of Showdown on the Brazos, but tell us what the movie's about. And I know you're filming some scenes coming up, but when can we expect it?
That's going to depend on when we get editing and distribution. We've got 4 or 5 companies that's forming a chance at distribution, and they'll decide when it's going to be released. But we're hoping late fall, early winter, somewhere along in there. And they're talking mostly streaming right now, the ones that have contacted us. And the movie's based in 1887 about 2 Texas Rangers. And, of course, they're pretty iconic themselves. And one of the Texas Rangers has quit being a Ranger because the outlaw gang led by Nate Jones has killed his family, his wife, and 2 girls. And so he quit being a Texas Ranger and basically became a hermit. And he gets permission to go back in and chase Nate Jones down, but he doesn't want to do it, so he's got to go through this transformation. I'm happy with doing what I'm doing, but now I've got a chance to go after people that killed my family. And so, justice and revenge are riding the same horse. And so we go, and at the very end, we have a showdown in the town. It's a town called Brazos, because it's based on a little town sitting on the Brazos River. It's a fake town, but that's how I came up with the name. And so it's me and my partner, and we go in town against these outlaws. And I wrote it in the old John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart fashion. The hero, the reluctant hero, does not want to be in charge, and gets recommissioned and doesn't want to do it, and finally is talked into doing it, and goes into the town and tries to clean it up, and falls in love with the girl, and she moves on, So I don't want to give away any spoilers, but that's the premise of the movie.
Okay.
And big shootout scenes, really big shootout.
Got to have that in the Western. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. That's not the only shootout, but that's some humor in the movie. It's not all just doom and gloom. I mix humor in there and try to catch people off guard. And I've caught my editor off guard before. He's like, what was that? That's humor. Oh, I see. I understand that. Try to get that ebb and flow of emotions go up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
And that gets people tied into it. And my composer, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bill Evans, the great jazz pianist, Grammy Award winning, I think 14 or 15 Grammy Awards. His son, Evan, is our music composer. And he is working on the score right now.
Very
nice. I can't wait to hear what he has in store for us. And that'll be a big surprise for me. I just can't like I said, it's just amazing when somebody else takes it, when they come back to you and say, okay, this is what I've got for you, based on what you wrote and what you filmed. And that's going to be like opening a big Christmas present when you was a little kid. And I've got another person. He is Joe Barr, and he's writing a song, actually called Showdown on the Brazos. Can't wait to hear that. And that will be some music to go along with the movie. And so it's a well-rounded. We've got a line of merchandise that goes with the too. So we jumped into it both feet and head deep.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a very exciting end of the year for you, for what has been a really up and down year for most people in the film industry. I know you're looking forward to getting back out and shooting those last scenes and putting this thing together. And what you mentioned about music is music can make or break a film. And yeah, if you've got a great composer on your side, so it's only going to bring a lot more to the film.
Yes, sir.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today on Fancounters. We really do appreciate you being here. Can you tell us where we can follow you on social media and also follow the film and your career?
You bet. You can go to YouTube and see our award-winning trailer, and so that's the only trailer that's going to be out until the movie gets ready to come out. And so you can go there. You can go to my Facebook page, Bill Foster. You can go to Showdown on the Brazos Facebook page or my IMDb page. And so we try to include pictures, background pictures that, behind the scenes, so kind of keep people up to date. That's why I do casting calls. That's, when we get ready to get on the next project, that's where they're going to keep up with that. And the next project, I heard the choir whistle. And so hopefully we can get started on that right after we get Showdown going and finished up.
When Showdown comes out, make sure you contact us again. We'll have you on so we can really promote where people can see the film and get the word out there, because it sounds like a great project.
We will.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
My thanks to Bill Foster for joining us on the program this week. His film, Showdown on the Brazos, will be available sometime at the end of the year, so make sure you look for that. You can follow us on social media on Instagram. Please follow us. Get a lot of likes on our photos. We need those follows. It's Instagram at Fancounters Live. You can also follow us on Facebook by joining our big Facebook group by searching Fancounters, or go to Sharpie Nation on Facebook and join there. As always, if you have a guest suggestion, send those to hello@fancounters.com. We'll be back next week with another great episode. Another celebrity guest will join us to talk about their projects in the entertainment industry. Every Friday, we release a new episode. We welcome you back for that. Make sure you subscribe to Fancounters so you keep getting notifications of our brand new episodes on Friday. Until next Friday, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.